Thank you for tuning in. This is the fourth episode of the Shakeout with Creighton Cross Country. I am your host for the week, and probably besides Dr. Lisa Chips, the best looking host that you've had. I am Tom Lilly, head men's and women's tennis coach at Creighton, and I'm also the resider of the Ryan Athletic Center Penthouse. And I'm joined this week by fellow Penthouse suitemates, head coach Chris Gannon and sub 4-miler assistant Matthew Fayers. Guys, we're heading into the third competition of the Cup. This is an eliminator. Coach Gannon, please don't tell me you're throwing baseballs or shooting paintballs at these young men and women. What is this eliminator race?
No, we are not. As much as they try our patience on some days, no, we're not going down that road. I would borrow your tennis ball gun if I was going down that road. But Eliminator Race, for those who don't know, we're extending it. Typically, you see an Eliminator Race over a mile. We're going all the way out over 4K. What happens is you start with your field of ours will be approximately 13 or 14 runners. And the person who's in last place is pulled out each lap. So if you're trailing at the end of the lap, every single lap one athlete's pulled. So the entire race turns into this big giant chess game, if you will. A lot of strategy involved. How hard you're going to run, where you're going to run hard, where you're going to take things easy. It's actually a lot of fun. It's a lot of excitement. So I'm really looking forward to. The kids are as well, and it should be for a very interesting event. I'm sure there's going to be some surprises.
That sounds like competitive and a lot of strategy, some racing tactics involved. Coach Fayers, in your best English, how are you approaching this one?
We're approaching it very much on an individual basis. Really, I want to set up each athlete to run the best of their ability. So if we take the female side, we've got some mid-distance athletes, and so having them run from behind is definitely going to be a benefit to them. But, some others might not have as a strong kick, so they're not going to want to be running from behind. So really, I think you've got to look at it from a very individual basis and just kind of see how things unfold. I think you can't really strategize too much because the race is so unpredictable. It's very rarely competed in track. I know in cycling it's called the Omnium, and that's usually pretty fun. But in track it's very rare, and when you do have it, it's maybe a special event. And so I think as coaches, we don't really know how to approach it, and the athletes certainly have even less of an idea. So you could say one thing, and then all it takes is someone to kick, and then everyone's got to go with it. So it's going to be really unpredictable. So I'm going to kind of let the athletes practice their decision making, I guess, this week, and make some wise decisions and see how they fare. But ultimately, I want them to kind of make those decisions themselves, because they're going to know what's best in the race rather than me, 2 meters on the infield.
So I guess Coach Fayers, you're the sub 4-miler, the All-American. Coach Gannon is a jumper, and so I'm assuming that and Team Todak doesn't have quite the accolades that you do. So I'm assuming that you feel that you've got a great chance at this one.
I mean, I'm not running, so I'm not sure about that, but I wish I was. It'd be great to compete some of these races. This would have been a really fun one. Probably wouldn't have felt very good about eliminating some of my own athletes potentially, but thankfully I'm not racing. So really it's down to the athletes. Team Fayers, we've got a great crew. I think they've been running well so far. As we mentioned on the last podcast, they've got a little swagger about them. So I think that their confidence levels going into this race is definitely going to help them. And maybe they do make some moves that they wouldn't have made maybe a year ago. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a fun race, but I'm not going to put anything out there because, as Gannon said, it's so unpredictable. All it takes is 1 meter and you're done. Even you might have had a little bit more left, but you get out-leaned by 1 meter and you're done. So Not going to be counting any chickens before they hatch. Is that I do my best English.
Done a little more Australian that time. So it does sound like a race that mainly of these athletes probably haven't been involved in. To me, that's what it sounds like. But right now we have Team Fayers leading this overall for the Cup, 140.5 points. Team Gannon has 135, so not far behind. And Team Todak, although the two better of the looking coaches, are a little bit further behind with 113. Coach Gannon, how do you envision this week playing out?
Yeah, I kind of like Fair said, I think there's going to be it's going to be interesting to see. One of the reasons we came up with the Cup is to better our athletes, and we talked about that a week ago. Like putting our athletes in situations that they can grow and learn, and giving them an opportunity to figure things out without having to be coached through them. And that's why one of the reasons we created the Cup. And this is going to be a true testament of that. Like Fair said, having a strategy going into this, you might feel really good about that, and one lap in, that entire strategy gets blown up because someone makes a move or decision, and you have to respond to that. And I think that's one of the reasons we came up with it. Wanted to have the Eliminator. One, it's a lot of fun. Two, most of these athletes have never done it before. And three, it really puts decision making in that moment, which is what happens in real racing. If we're at the Big East Championships and something happens, and our athletes have to make a decision in that moment. Do I respond? How am I going to respond? Do I go now? Do I wait? Do I sit and kick? Do I try to pull away? Or how do I close that gap? And I think that's a great opportunity for us to simulate and create a truly stressful environment for them to have to make those decisions, because that's real racing. And this is going to be a fun way to do that, and I'm looking forward to it. I think fully assuming that Tony and Dakota are actually probably having a team strategy meeting right now, which is why they didn't jump in tonight. I'm sure that they're two pretty smart people with advanced degrees. They're evaluating every possible angle to give their team the best advantage moving forward. And so, it will be very interesting to see what happens.
Great. Yeah, they probably should be strategizing right now. They've got a deficit to make up. I did, I was on campus today, off the subject a little bit, just walking on one end, and it was either Bryce or Boston. I'm not sure, because they were moving so fast, I couldn't tell who it was, but he just cruised on by me, said hello, but he was gone in a hurry. So Coach Fayers, have you changed? Has the team changed? Either team changed any practices this week, or how have practices been going leading up to this Eliminator race?
You were kind of standard fare, I would say. Today was that classic Wellness Wednesday. The athletes get to kind of pick what they do. So if that's an easy shakeout run, or if that's a kind of cross training, that's entirely up to them. So today, easy day. Tuesday, they got in some good Z2, kind of a little faster side. It sounded like that went well. And then Monday was our big boy workout, as they say around here. So we got after it. We got some speed in, and we kind of set each athlete up for individual success in that workout. So we had some athletes go a little longer. So some were doing about a full lap on a lovely soccer stadium, and then we had some other runners doing half laps. Kind of very individual basis on what they were doing in terms of repetitions, in terms of their pace windows. So I think all around it was a great workout. Everyone got after it. And I think kind of getting that speed heading into this race is going to be big, but all around the great, Team Fayers, Team Gannon, doesn't matter, Team Todak, doesn't matter who they were on, everyone was working together, and they crushed it. It was a great Monday workout. So I think everyone's going to be probably feeling pretty good heading into Saturday.
I think that's one of the great things about, or one of the positives that we can pull from the COVID restrictions is that we don't have the pressure of running and traveling and going to a real race, every 2 weeks, whether that's Notre Dame for us, or to Bradley, or KU at a Rimrock, or whatever that might be. You do have to prep and set up for those things a little bit differently. You handle your programming a little bit differently than we are right now. And we have been able to individualize quite a bit. And that's been one of the really bright things I think that's we're trying to take advantage of right now with COVID. What's that look like for you, Tom? Like, what has practice looked like for you, or how has practice been different, or how are you guys navigating this on your side of things in tennis right now?
Well, sure. Well, our tennis in D1 is the fall season. It's more of your individual season. So typically we're able to go to a few different tournaments and play, but there's no team scoring. It's just each player playing in flights or with the doubles team. And so throughout the fall, we're really strength training hard and conditioning and trying to figure out doubles teams. And then we get to play those tournaments to figure out our singles and doubles lineup a little bit better. But without those tournaments, it's made things a little more difficult. We're doing some of the, I guess it could relate a little bit to how you guys are doing this, playing for the Cup, but we're going to have a scrimmage in a few weeks. I've always been a big fan of trying to make practices competitive at times, at least a little bit every day, being able to compete instead of just drilling. Drill a little bit and then you compete against each other. And so we've been keeping our practice percentages maybe now more than ever. And so it's, gathering steam every week. You can either improve your practice percentage in your singles and doubles, or it could go down. So it's hopefully helping them compete or keep some type of competitive edge. And as you guys know, it's different running in practice, and it's definitely different playing tennis against your teammates than it is going up against another team with all the pressure on you. So we're trying to give them some pressure at times as well. And I think that's what the Cup is probably helping you guys with. Same with our scrimmage and our practice percentages.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. So you mentioned now more than ever in that segment, Tom. More than ever for you at Creighton is quite a timeline. We're going to be honest about this.
I'm a dinosaur.
30 years at Creighton, thereabouts, 31 years.
Well, that include, I think it's been since 1988. So if that adds up to 30, sure.
Okay,
that was when I was a freshman, though, in college. So, yeah, right. It's been a long time.
And you've been head coach now for 20.
This will be my 24th. Just 24th? Started my 24th, yeah.
Gotcha. So you somehow convinced a long time ago, somehow convinced another tennis player to go on a date with you, and she's now your wife as well. But when I think about that, and one of the things that I've really enjoyed about getting to know you and Jean as well, is that the fact that Creighton is someplace that you literally have spent, most of your life. And what is it about Creighton that, drew you here in the first place, and then, has kept you here, I guess, for 30 years? That's not normal, if you will. And so that must be something about Creighton that either that or you don't feel like you get a job someplace else. I don't think that's the case, though. But what is it about Creighton that has kept you here for 30 years?
Well, people have told me I'm not normal before, so I guess this is going right that way. No, Creighton's definitely a very special place. For us, it's like a big family. We have our own family. We have our tennis players and assistant coaches, and of course Jean, my wife, is my assistant for the women's team, so it does feel like a family. But the culture at Creighton has always been something that has been very important to us. We've gotten to know the coaches. There are two coaches that have been here longer than I have, which is hard to believe, but it is the athletic director Bruce Rasmussen runs a great ship, and it's just the culture, the people you get to know. It's a special place, and it keeps people here longer than I think most places would. We met as tennis players on campus, and ended up getting married. I became the head coach. She became my assistant coach. It's something where it's just been a very special place to us, as it has been for many people. And we get that when we're recruiting people. We get that when they when they get to campus, sometimes they say, well, I was looking for maybe a bigger school or just looking for something different. I got here, I saw what everybody's talking about when they say that Creighton is really a special university and more like feels like a big family. They kind of get that when they get on campus and get to know the people. And that's the most important part for us is the people.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment, definitely. That was the thing that impressed me day one, was the people and the culture. And Creighton is a special place. We talk about that a lot within our team as well. And, how, as you talked about, like, there's a lot of coaches that have been here for a long time, and through that, they've been able to build within their own program that sense of family, and because they believe in what Creighton is as a whole is the root of that. And I think that Jesuit mission is definitely the foundation of the big picture here. In your time here, obviously, Tom, you've seen a lot of changes, going from 1988 to 2020. What's been some of the biggest changes or the best changes that you've seen in that time? Obviously, Missouri Valley to the Big East was a huge move. But what have been some of the other things that during that time that have been pretty monumental that you've been part of?
Sure. I've, like you said, the Missouri Valley move from the Missouri Valley to Big East was huge, and it's helped us out. Benefited us a lot, as I'm sure it has with you guys as well, although you weren't here for the Missouri Valley parts of it those years. But the transformation of the campus has been amazing, and we're seeing it right now. I mean, there's construction at both ends of campus that are just finishing up. The Harper Center with the business administration has just been unbelievable. And when I was a student here in 1988, you could literally park on 24th Street and everything west was campus. There was hardly anything on the east side of campus. And now it seems like the majority of campus is east of 24th Street, with the exception of a few dorms and some classrooms. Obviously, the St. John's and the administration building, or Creighton Hall, we used to call it the administration building, but campus is so much bigger. The athletic side of it is unbelievable now compared to what it used to be. We used to run in the old gym, which was a great historic place. But if you're in study hall and there's a basketball practice going on above you in the old gym, you couldn't study at all. And now we have a state-of-the-art study hall. The park is amazing. The staff is 10 times as many people as that we had when I was a student, and then probably the first few years of my coaching career as well. It's just the weight room is unbelievable. The training rooms, it's just a matter of having people come and visit. And when people come and visit that were on the teams when I were the first 10 years of my coaching career, they can't believe this place and how much it's changed for the better. And so, yeah, I would say it's the people have remained tremendous, but the facilities have caught up.
Yeah, no, definitely. When you walk across campus, even the 24th Street project that just reopened up this week, all the construction going on with the Creighton Hall, or administration building as you called it, and then the Harper Center and the business school there. I mean, that's what happens when you have a top 25 business program in the entire country. You end up having to multi-million-dollar renovate a building that's not even 10 years old. So we have been very fortunate, I would say, across the board. When you look at athletics, that Morrison Stadium is our oldest athletic facility at this point in time, which is regarded as the nicest soccer facility in the entire country. That's pretty incredible that we have access to and are privy to such great resources. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's and Morrison Stadium wasn't even here when I was a player, or the first couple of years of I think as an assistant coach. I remember soccer team used to play out at Tranquility Park, so about 7 miles away. And I remember stories of them if they weren't having the greatest practice. There were times when Coach Warming made them jog back from Tranquility Park. So that would be more familiar with the cross country stuff that you guys are doing.
Well, we'll have to ask Johnny Torres about that when we get him on the show.
Good.
Any
Is there anything else you guys wanted to add?
No, I feel like Fairs, you got any big tidbits from the Englishmen here tonight?
I guess one of the things we've kind of been seeing from our athletes, and maybe I think Tom talked a little bit about that, is obviously on race day, competition day, our athletes are always going to be purposeful. Everyone loves the competition, but you can't necessarily live between the whistles, the stopwatches. You've got to, throughout the week, be purposeful as well. And so what we've seen is people's approach heading into the week is that day in, day out, they're getting a little bit better. They're doing the little things. And so maybe it is that workout. Maybe it is that recovery that's coming in well. And so everyone is setting themselves up for success on race day. And it's been awesome to see. Obviously, right now, with it not being necessarily like official, you could quite easily see that maybe some slack. But from anything we've seen in the step up, and when I talk about a step up, I'm not talking about 50% to 90%. It's been a 90% to a 95%, increase. It's been awesome to see the athletes really get after it and just have their approach to be so focused on this season that was kind of created out of nothing.
Yeah, I'll second that. I've been pretty impressed with the game faces. They're no different than if we were at Notre Dame or at KU at Rimrock Farms. Our team is definitely getting after it. There are no friends at the start line. I've figured that out quite quickly. And when races haven't gone the way people have hoped they would, the frustrations are no different than they would have been had we been towing the line against Villanova, Georgetown, or Providence. That's for sure. So. Sure. I'm excited for this weekend. I'm looking forward to getting after it on Saturday. Getting my steps in, I'm sure, as I'm running around the field, probably panting and out of breath, and I'm sure I'll have no voice left by the end of it, which is normal season form for me by the end of a race day.
That's awesome, and you guys didn't put me up to this part, but you've already mentioned how long I've been here, so I've seen many, there's several at least cross-country coaching staffs come and go, and the culture that you guys have built, I can tell by the way, because my office is right next to yours, the way you interact with the players, the way that they want to be up, and meeting with you guys and talking to you guys about various things, stuff that I don't know about with cross-country, but also personal issues they may have, or schoolwork, or whatever it may be. It's an inviting place that you guys have created. The culture is, I can tell, a much higher step up from what Creighton cross country, in my opinion, throughout the years has been. And things like this that you're putting together and putting in that time and dedication shows how much you care about your athletes, and they know it. I can tell by the interactions that I've had with them. So that's a credit to you guys. So keep up the good work. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this week on the Shakeout with Creighton Cross Country. Until next time, I'm Tom Lilly. Eyes up and go Jays.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.